Hey guys, welcome to Travel Related.
We're talking about solo travel.
Trey and I have fallen in love with solo travel. When we first decided that we wanted to see the world, we chose to do it by ourselves. And it was the best decision we could have ever made.
Traveling by yourself is amazing. It's something that has had a really big benefit in my life, and I know it has in Katie's life also. It can be nerve-wracking when you've never done it before, but you'll find that once you do it, it's not nearly as scary as you would think.
Our friends and family are constantly telling us why they can't travel alone, or their fears surrounding this, and why it's keeping them from taking their own trip. And we think that's sad. Because of that, we decided to put together our top 10 reasons why you should travel alone.
Hopefully it will give you a better idea of what you can expect, and maybe it will show you that it's not as scary as you originally thought.
So sit back, watch, and then let's get to planning your own trip.
We can promise you'll never be the same. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe down below. And with that being said, let's get into our top 10 list. Number one on the list is you're more likely to meet other people. When we travel with our friends, whether it be one friend or a group, we naturally kind of stick together because that's our comfort zone. When you're by yourself, you're more open to speaking to other people. You have to put yourself out there. Let's say you're staying at a hostel and you're by yourself. You're not going to have anybody to talk to unless you go introduce yourself or strike up a conversation, which in hostels is very easy. There's lots of people traveling by themselves, and everybody wants to meet other people. That's one of the great benefits of staying in a hostel. You see it all the time with people who are traveling alone. They'll come right up and just ask your name and where you're from, and you do the same. It's a really cool thing when you have no choice but to put yourself out there and meet other people. If you want to learn about where they're from or their life or anything like that, you have to put yourself out there. I have met tons of people, many of which I keep in contact with now. You will definitely meet more people if you travel alone, and it's going to be awesome.
Number 2, you'll become more confident and independent. It does not matter how independent and confident you already are. I can guarantee you that you will strengthen those qualities tenfold in some way or another if you travel solo. I realized when I took my first trip abroad, I had never used public transportation by myself, and I was about to be using it nonstop for the next month. At first, that kind of freaked me out, but within 2 days, I was a pro. Because I had to be. I had to learn how to read bus routes and find where they are, and sometimes do all of that in a country where no one speaks English. And there were times that I had no choice but to figure it out. So I could make it to my hostel or get to my flight on time or find the right train. But the coolest part was, as soon as I did make my way onto the right train, I felt amazing. When I came back having navigated my way through 10 foreign countries, never having left America before, and having the most incredible trip of my life, I knew that I could take on the world, because I literally just did.
Number 3 is you can do things on your own schedule. This is something I really love. When you're with people, you are influenced on where they want to go and how long they want to stay. So you have to do things that benefits the group as a whole. Whereas when you're by yourself, you can go where you want, when you want, stay as long as you want. My plans and schedule change all the time, and that's one thing I love about traveling alone, is just on a dime I can go do something different than I originally thought I was going to do. Doing things on your own schedule is a huge benefit to traveling alone.
Number 4, you can rest without feeling guilty. So when I backpacked through Europe, I did so much in such a short amount of time. The first week alone, I was going nonstop every day, seeing every possible thing I could. And when I got to my third country, I hit a wall. Hard. I'll be honest, for the next 2.5 countries, I rested. I stayed in bed. I read books. I would still go out and see big things that I wanted to, but I didn't push myself by any means. If I had been with other people, I probably wouldn't have rested the way that I did because I would have felt bad for wanting to stay in bed or sleeping a little later. So I did what I needed to do for me. And the greatest part was that I didn't have to worry about anybody else. I didn't have to feel guilty for staying in. It was what my body and mind needed, and that may not be the same for everybody, and that's okay. I didn't have to consider anybody else because it was just me. Once I had gotten that rest that I needed, I felt amazing. I was ready to go. The last half of my trip was so great. I was getting up early, going all day nonstop, seeing everything that I wanted to see because I had taken the time to do what I needed to do. I needed to recharge. I needed to rest. And it was awesome.
Number 5 is it sharpens your problem-solving skills. This is definitely one of my favorites on the list. When you get into a jam or something doesn't go the way you planned, there's no one else to rely on but yourself to either figure it out on your own or find a local or someone else who can help you. And when you travel solo, you're going to run into problems, some small, some bigger. When you keep solving problems over and over again, it builds your self-confidence. And once I first got back home from traveling solo, I noticed that when problems would come up, my reaction was different. I kind of went back to that place in my head of when I was traveling and just like, okay, there's no need to freak out. Something's not going right. So let's look at the options and choose what the best option is to solve the problem. And if that doesn't work, go a different route. Keep going until you fix this problem. That was a huge benefit for me. Things come up all the time and I just don't think they're that big of a deal. Just let's figure out a way to fix it.
Number 6, you won't miss out on that thing that you wanted to do. When you plan your own trip, there may be some things that you prioritize over others, and when you're by yourself, you can go do exactly what you want. I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, so when I was in London, there was one day that I devoted completely to going all over the city and finding every possible movie site that I could. Now, my friends love Harry Potter too, but I don't think they are as extreme as I was when it came to getting on a random subway for 20 minutes just to find the door of number 12 Grimmauld Place. There was nothing else around it. It was just a door, but I wanted to see it. So I got to, and I didn't have to worry about asking anybody else or making sure it was okay with them or their schedule. It was all about what I wanted to do. And when you do travel with friends, they may really want to do something that you don't want to do, and then you have to go and spend money on stuff that you don't want to do, and that's just silly. Whether it's going to a specific museum or shopping or to see movie sites, everybody has different priorities when they're traveling. Everybody has different things that they want to see. A great perk of traveling by yourself is never missing out on something that you wanted to do because someone else didn't want to. It's pretty sweet.
Number 7, it's okay if your original plans don't work out. I've run into this a lot. Let's say you're with a group and there's something you really want to do and you pitch it to the group because you think it's going to be awesome. And you go and either something's closed or it didn't work out for whatever reason. Typically, you might feel a little bit guilty. When you're alone and things don't go the way you planned, it's no big deal. You can change on a dime. So that's something that I really love is if your plans change, don't worry about it. Just go on to the next thing you want to do. It's that simple.
Number 8. Getting lost can be amazing. There were a few times when I was traveling that maybe I didn't have Wi-Fi or my maps weren't working and I had no clue where I was because every sign was in French or German and I had no idea what I was reading. So there were a few points in my trip when I literally just had to walk around and pray to God that I could find where I was going. It could be super frustrating at first or a little scary, but honestly, there were times when I got lost where I was so glad I did. When I got to Salzburg, I decided to go out so I could see the town, see the square, just kind of walk everywhere. But in all my excitement, I forgot to download the map of Salzburg while I was still on Wi-Fi. So when I got out in the town, I had no Wi-Fi, my map was not working, and I had no idea how to get back to my hostel. So I just started walking and turning corners and trying to find what looked familiar. Hot mess. And then to top it all off, a torrential downpour started. I had no umbrella. I couldn't even see 5 feet in front of me. It was raining so hard. And I had no idea what to do. Couldn't find where I was going. Couldn't see. I looked like a drowned rat. And at one point, I just stopped and started laughing. And I thought, how freaking cool is this? I am trapped in a rainstorm and lost in Salzburg, Austria. And there was something about it that was so perfect. I was able to realize in that moment how blessed I was to get to be doing these things, to take this trip. And do you think a simple downpour and being lost was going to ruin that for me? Absolutely not. It was one of my favorite experiences because I was just able to stop and realize how lucky I was, and I was able to laugh at myself. And it was all because I got lost. So sometimes you're going to be faced with issues that you may think are problems, but they're actually creating incredible stories for when you come home. I hope to get lost in countries for the rest of my life. Don't worry, I eventually found my hostel.
Number 9, you'll discover that you're not truly alone unless you want to be. When someone's thinking about traveling by themselves, let's say in Europe, they're picturing being alone on a strange continent, just all by themselves. And it's just not the case. I've always enjoyed my alone time, but the more you travel alone, the more apparent it is that you're not alone. There are friendly, kind people everywhere that are more than willing to help you out if you're lost, or if you see something funny together, they're more than willing to share a laugh. That's something that really stuck out to me my first time traveling alone, is just the kindness of people. You realize that most people are good. Most people are generally kind and will gladly go out of their way to help you if you ever needed it. I've talked to many other travelers and they have felt the same way. If something ever happened, it wouldn't be hard at all to find someone to help them out.
Number 10, because you can. Travel will never happen until you make it a priority. You can spend months or years or your entire life making excuses as to why you can't travel solo. And if you keep doing that, you'll never do it. You don't have to be the strongest, most confident person to go travel by yourself. I met people of all different personalities, shyness. Some were super confident and loud. Some were very meek and mild. And they were all traveling by themselves because they made it a priority. As soon as you change your mindset and stop making excuses, you'll realize that you are the only person standing in your way. For some of you, you don't have kids. This is the time to go and solo travel. For those of you with kids, you need a break. Go solo travel. Some of you don't have a full-time job. Great, go. For those of you that are retired and think that you can't traipse across the world, yes, you can. This is your time. Go do it. For the rest of your life, you're always going to have voices saying you can and you can't. Which one are you going to listen to? As for my brother and me, we chose to listen to the voices that were telling us that we could, and we have never been the same since.
So there it is, our top 10 reasons of why you should travel alone. Now, we have a travel-related question for you.
What's keeping you from solo travel? What are you scared of? What are you not sure about? What are you worried about? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll work together to get rid of those fears so you can take the trip of a lifetime. For more travel-related content, make sure to hit subscribe and give us the thumbs up.
Katie and I are blood-related.
But we can all be travel-related. Bye, guys.
See ya.